Richard Haass, Counsel on Foreign Relations, President Emeritus and Centerview Partners Senior Counselor, also joins us now. Richard has served as former Director of Policy Planning for the Department of State from 2001 to 2003. Richard, we're wondering what your take is on Iran and whether you can read anything into the president's recent statements, whether it's on social media or just now, about what the U.S. does next.
Short answer is no, but he has a big decision to make. Quite honestly, either way, it's consequential, even fateful. Whether he is prepared to use military force, my own recommendation is that he would explicitly give Iran one last time-limited opportunity to make a deal. And the deal would have, be quite demanding of Iran in the nuclear domain, but it would give Iran relief from sanctions. Obviously, the regime would survive. It would bring about a ceasefire more broadly. So I would hope that the Iranians might find that attractive. But if not, I do think there's a case for the United States using force to diminish an important, probably the most important remaining facility in the Iranian nuclear program.
So you see a realistic scenario where the current regime, the Ayatollah regime, can stay in place and Iran cannot be a nuclear threat?
Absolutely. Look, Iran has made big decisions before. The previous Ayatollah, the first Ayatollah, made the decision to end the Iran-Iraq war, as difficult as that was for him. He compared it to drinking poison. If you're the leader of a country and your country's survival is at stake, you have to be prepared to make difficult decisions. But absolutely, I would think that regime change is a more likely scenario if the military situation continues than it is if there's some kind of an outcome, particularly if the outcome brings economic benefits to Iran.
Richard, for those who are hoping and believe that perhaps regime change is a real possibility, what would that even look like? Is there an opposition party? Are there leaders that conceivably could fill a vacuum to actually take over?
Let me say one or two things. Regime change is a wish. It's not a strategy. You can't go to a military leader and say, build an operation and carry it out that brings me regime change. You can't use military force with any confidence to do that. So, one, it's a long shot. Two, if it were to happen, you're right. You don't know what it brings. There's no organized opposition within Iran. It could bring about some type of a military leader, an intelligence leader, somebody else who's strong in the religious, political.
Too bad. Frozen shot. We'll work on getting Richard back up there. But that is one of the important questions. Remember, Aaron David Miller, who is also an expert, told us yesterday that it was a pretty fragmented opposition situation there. Richard, sorry we lost you there for a moment. You were saying the likelihood that there is some sort of opposition takeover. Richard?
Yes, I'm here. I hear you fine.
Okay. So what were you saying about the likelihood of that kind of scenario?
Well, again, the regime change it's a wish. It's not a strategy. You can't count on it. You don't know what would follow, even if you had regime ouster. So I just don't think either Israel or the United States could or should make regime change central to what it is they do. Going after the nuclear capabilities, that's a legitimate, to some extent, achievable option if the United States gets involved. Regime change, again, I would put off to the side.
Okay, Richard, we appreciate you joining us today, fresh off those comments from the president as we try to figure out what's next in this evolving conflict.
Let's get to the Fed.